air.
Yeah, the problem with TikTok is that usually if you say the keywords like YouTube and the purple app, the name of that, they'll flag your account or
Yeah,
your
they did flag me the
live.
other day, bro. They
You
were
you
like, "You're
can't
leading people off of the app."
yeah, yeah,
I'm
they don't
like,
like
"You
it's the
greedy
dumbest shit ever.
bastards."
You just the purple app, the green app, the red app, you know what I mean? That's what people say on live usually. That's
Well,
what I found.
mm, yeah, bro, that makes sense. Like, I don't know, bro. It's just every company's got their thing. We buy mortgage notes, and we're on this new website where it's like a broker. And I mean, a lot of those conversations is a lot easier to have and explain on a phone call. And I tried to call some guy, and I was like, my numbers, and I put my number down, and the system flagged it, and it was like flagged for trying to communicate outside the app. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do a business deal and buy someone's note if I can't even talk to them? And they're like, basically, you have to submit like a thing, and then it connects your phone to their phone using a third party number, so you don't have each other's phone number. I'm like, oh my god, because they take like a small percentage of your transaction for
Um,
basically
okay,
connecting
see,
you.
that's why I was about to say that's really weird. I wonder why they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they want their percentage.
One contract, three buy limits. Edit your buy limit. That's probably a good idea. Honestly, I mean, I I doubt that level has any relevance. Bruh, look at the closing candle though. Look at that mug. It freaking dumped. And look, we literally to the tick again, the quarter tick. The low of this closing candle was 6,422. The low of this candle that hit the previous daily high was 6,422. Nuts.
Yeah, no, I was on that last candle, I went to go press buy and I sold on accident. And so it completely screwed my
Mm,
profit.
yeah, I've been there, bro. Bro, the other day, I think you were on the call. I was talking,
Yes.
or I was telling Cam about the time I was in that gold trade, maybe like 2018,
Oh,
2019. Bro, I didn't say this part, but in college, like we used to get extra money from our scholarships, and we just wouldn't get our books. Like whatever books you needed to get for the college courses, like you just
yeah,
tell them what. Hmm.
why would you get the books? You get it for free.
Well, no. Well, I mean, so the way that it works is if you're on scholarship, they don't just give you the book; they give you money to go buy the books. So you got to like go to the bookstore, be like, "Hey, these are the books that I need for my classes." They verify it, and then they're like, "Okay, your books are gonna cost you whatever, like 1,800." So then they give you a check for 1,800, and you can
Okay.
you can either go get your books or deposit that bitch.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
so there's no verification process as to check if you
Nah,
actually got
bro.
the books or not?
Nah, so we would just deposit that shit and then, borrow the book from someone in class or whatever. And when
Yeah,
we
that's what I was saying. Like the books, you don't really have to buy the books if they don't check.
yeah, yeah. And so I mean, they'd be pissed like you go to tutoring or whatever and you got homework and they're like, "Oh, this is your homework, whatever. Where's your book?" And you're like, "I never got it." But then they would just find someone that had the book.
Yeah, no, dude, nowadays you just go to Facebook Marketplace, search the book up, you know,
Yeah, bro.
people around you, local,
I'm
if I
I'm
mean,
a I'm a bit old, bro. This was back a
yeah,
couple
fair
years
enough, fair
ago.
enough. I'm just thinking of what I do now.
Yeah.
I'm not, dude, you never catch me in a bookstore buying a book. The only reason I go to a bookstore is to
Uh-huh.
check what books I need,
I love
and then I go
books.
buy them off of the Facebook Marketplace or something.
Yeah. I think they have like some companies where you could buy them and shiz. Thanks for the follow. But yeah, bro, for sure. I like books though. You could see if you're ever on the TikTok. I got a lot of books.
Yeah, I see that in the background. Yeah.
I got some books I need to give away. I got 3 copies of one of these guys. One, it's like a billionaire guy who's super low key. that I really look up to. I got one of his books. Um, he's not even on social media or nothing. But do you know Bridger Pennington? That ring a bell? Drew?
I do not know.
No. He helps people set up like investment funds, and his dad had an investment fund and spoke at his event and stuff. But he wrote this book. I liked it. Every year he'd give like a I guess you call it like a speech, you know, like a keynote speech. And he would
Mhm.
talk about the dollar, he would talk about gold and Bitcoin and how they're all intertwined. And he would talk about like the larger macros of basically politics and like why they're doing this and why they're actually doing that. And like a lot of the behind the scenes. And he wrote a book about how all that's kind of intertwined. Like one of the biggest things is like, you know, why is all of oil, no matter if you're Venezuela and you sell oil to Mexico, you do that in US dollars. Why?
What?
Why, right? If you are whoever, right? If you're Brazil and you're selling oil to the United States, which that would make sense, you paying in US dollars. But it doesn't matter where you're at or if you're selling to someone else, if you're selling to the United States, doesn't matter. All oil transactions happen in US dollars, which creates insatiable demand for the US dollar. That's how he started his speech. Is he was like, "Okay, what is the number one product ever created?" And you know, a lot of people start guessing, you know, and they're like the iPhone. And he's like, "No, you got to think bigger than the iPhone." And blah blah blah. He leads people down the rabbit hole and you're like, "What the hell could it be?" And he's like, "The US dollar." He was like, "Because that iPhone isn't worth anything unless you can buy it with dollars." He was like, "So it's not the iPhone that's worth a lot, it's the dollars." Right?
Right.
And so his argument was because it used to be gold. Dollars were worthless. Gold was real money. But after Bretton Woods in 1970, now it's flipped. Dollars are basically backed by the US government, which is the most powerful country on the planet. Right? And so those dollars, they hold value because you're basically holding on to debt that the US government will pay, right? And so his big thing with Bitcoin was Bitcoin is important and it's important to invest in it and it's important to see what cryptos are going to do. But at the end of the day, if you cannot exchange anything for your Bitcoin, it is essentially worthless. But he thinks at some point down the road that the dollar will lose, right? Because gold was the standard for a long time. And then gold basically got dumped for the dollar. Now, dollars had a reign since the 70s. Now, Bitcoin, which is digital gold, is now coming up to battle dollar. And you're seeing a real, right? Like, do you remember in 2020? What, it was like everyone was like, we're now accepting payment in Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, no,
What
big
happened
big
to
boom.
that? When's the last time you saw that?
I couldn't tell you. I know
So
there's a few Bitcoin
so
ATMs
the
and like,
dollar
but
won that battle though. Now
right.
there's a war going on though. That was just a battle, but there's a war, and he was saying, you know, at some point you will not be spending dollars at the grocery store if there's mass adoption of crypto, right? You'll be
Right.
spending whatever crypto it is, Bitcoin or I know they banned it, but maybe a Federal Reserve coin, something like that, right? And he was like, when that battle happens, there's going to be a massive shift, you know? And that was kind of what his whole speech was about. That's what his books are about. But I got 2 extra copies of those books, and I think I might give them away on Instagram or the stream or something. I need to give away that poster too. I got that ICT poster I've had for years. I don't know if I want that anymore. I got to redo my whole office. There's so many books in here too that I've read and will never read again that I need to just like take and donate to a bookstore.
Okay, here's a question I've always had about crypto, and I don't think I've ever gotten a real answer. And I think it's just because I don't know how to word it to Google to ask and like really figure out. Okay, so Bitcoin, the rewards from the blockchain mining, they get halved every 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in that case, would that not mean that Bitcoin can almost okay, here's a better question. What could make Bitcoin drop below the price it was at when it was half? The rewards were half. Because doesn't it make some massive push every 4 years because of that?
Well, yeah, because it's time, right? It's supply and demand. So you can only mine if it's worth it to mine,
Right.
right? But if it becomes not worth it to mine, guess what happens? People stop mining. So what does that do to the supply of Bitcoin? It stays flat while people
Interesting.
continue. So then the demand, people are still wanting Bitcoin or they're still investing in Bitcoin, but now there's less Bitcoin available.
It's
So the
harder to get
so
Bitcoin.
so what happens? The price of Bitcoin, because there's less available, people will pay more for it. So the price will go up. Now when the price goes up enough and it crosses that section between how much is Bitcoin worth and is it worth it to mine it, when that crosses, right, that's when people can start mining again. So it's just supply and demand.
Okay, that makes a lot more
Right?
sense.
So yeah,
Okay,
the
so
amount of Bitcoin never increases, but the value of that Bitcoin has to increase to make sense to mine it.
right.
Right.
No, you can't be some me in his house with a couple computers mining Bitcoin and
Well,
it
you
be worth it.
could. You
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 could,
you could,
it's just
but
not worth it.
right. The cost outweighs um
Right.
the reward, right? But like at
And
some
that's why
like
it's important to
think
use,
about it,
right.
right? When Bitcoin was super low, it's probably because there weren't that many people mining it, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
then
brand
it's
new.
like, oh, people want this. There's real demand for it. People are buying this. Let's start mining it. And then it created this like if Cam was on, dude, that's what Cam used to do. They hooked up like I think he had like hundreds. You have to ask him about it next time you're on stream. He had like hundreds of them, bro. That he had like coded and set up and shit.
Yeah, man,
What's up,
my
Ryan?
dad, he knew a guy back in I think it was like 2018. It was around when Ethereum first kind of started popularizing. And he invested a bunch of money. I think it was like 100 grand or like 200 grand into
Yeah.
mining equipment, and he started mining Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it for like 2 years. And if I remember correctly, Ethereum didn't do much for a long time. It was very slow.
Yeah.
Uh, but it eventually made this one massive push. And I'm pretty sure he had sold a few months and just like sold everything that he had because it just wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And he wasn't seeing any progress. So he just got rid of it all. Man, he would have been multi-millionaire if
Well,
he would have just held on to it.
man, this is why I liked Ethereum. And I'm not big on crypto, but I'm big on utility, right? Kind of like the argument of like, bro, Bitcoin's worthless unless you can exchange it for dollars, unless people like really just have a high demand for Bitcoin, right? But if you told me you were like, hey, I could either give you dollars or Bitcoin, I would be like, hey, give me dollars, right? Because if we
Right.
agree on a price of 300,000 and you send me Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes up, guess what? I'll actually get 320. But if it goes down, I might get 280.
Right.
Right, but if you send me 300,000 in dollars, the only thing that's battling against that is inflation.
It's a
You
fixed
know,
asset, right?
yeah. But I liked Ethereum because it had utility. Like I don't know what it is right now, but I remember when you were buying stuff in Bitcoin, it was like it was called like a gas fee, and
Oh, dude,
the
don't even
fees
get me
were like
started.
nuts, right? But
Yeah, back
Ethereum,
in
that's why Ethereum jumped
yep.
because it had that utility, and the gas fees were like a quarter
Hmm.
of what Bitcoin was.
No, yeah, I remember. Yeah, back in like 2021. Was it 2021 or was it like 2022?
Yeah.
Bitcoin, the fees, dude, they were so ridiculous. It was
Hmm.
like you were paying what you were sending in fees to
Yeah.
get it to send fast.
Hmm.
If you didn't want it, you had to wait like a day for it
Yeah.
to send.
Right.
And man, like I remember everybody that I knew that was into crypto at the time, they either weren't touching their Bitcoin at all and were saying, I'm just never gonna touch that shit again if the fees don't go down. And they
Hmm.
were all buying into Ethereum, or they were swapping all of their Bitcoin into Ethereum.
Hmm.
So like, that was the biggest thing for me as well. Like, and you know, the huge push. I'm looking at the chart now. Yeah, it was 2018 when he started because they made that big push to about 1,000,
Hmm.
and he started mining around then. But then around 2020, it just did nothing, and so he just sold it. But that was when it made the big push to like 4 grand or whatever.
Yeah. Ryan is saying U.S. dollars backed by debt, Bitcoin's backed by scarcity, and he was saying Bitcoin doesn't have fees. The platforms at or housing Bitcoin has fees. That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like the brokers.
Yeah, because I do remember. I remember there were some people that would go in and be like, "I don't know what you guys are talking about fees. Like, I have no fees at all. I pay like $1 to send. Like, it's nothing."
Yeah,
But then everybody else was like, "I'm paying double what I'm sending just to
right,
send it."
right. Yeah, bro, shit's crazy. But maybe I'm an idiot, bro. But I sold all my Bitcoin.
I think it's all very situational, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I had a good ride, and I'll get back in if needed. But I mean, if there's another big dip, I would buy it. But I'm not going to be a long-term investor in it. I don't think. But
Yeah, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, my dad had a buddy who, back when Bitcoin first came out, it was like $100 a coin. He decided to buy like, I don't know, like 25 Bitcoin, and he held it till I don't know, dude, but he held it till a good price, and he sold it, and he ended up making, I think it was like 2.6 million out of like $1,000 investment, some stupid shit.
yeah,
It was very recent when he sold it. It's awesome.
okay. Sorry, I was typing. But yeah, man, that's dope, bro. So you've been paying attention. You're young, bro, but you know what's going on.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean,
is that
look,
how you got that badass car, bro?
I mean, no, no. The car isn't mine. The car isn't mine. The car
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
family. Me and my dad, we worked on a piece of land over the past couple of years, and we ended up selling it, and
That's what
we
I
put
do. I buy
profits.
land.
Yeah, it was, dude, $100,000 for $120,000 for 100 acres.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Where at?
and
What state?
South Carolina.
Bro, if you come across any other land deals, hit me up.
Yeah, yeah, no. We decided to act on it, and we bought it, and that was what we got it at, and we ended up selling all of it. Over the past 5 years, we transformed it into like a farm,
Mm-hmm.
a working sugarcane farm, all the equipments and utilities to do whatever kind of farm work you want, or hoop houses. We sold a portion of it to these people that wanted to buy a house, and then we sold the rest of it, the farm portion, to a person from New York. He paid, I think, 250
Yeah.
for the 25 acres of farmland. So we ended up profiting 200 off
Yeah.
of the whole investment.
That's nice, man.
It was great. It was great. It was awesome.